Hello, Mr. Arvind Chandran. Thank you very much for accepting the interview to do with us. We appreciate it very much. Okay, we are all students from MSU. We are currently going to do the interview about risk management. So we have chosen the company Hong Leong, and as long as we all know, you are the assistant manager of the company, right?
Then manage and fraud, merchant fraud.
Okay, okay, so all right. So we are going to ask you a few questions um, regarding the risks of Hong Leong's company. Whatever Hong Leong has gone through, we're going to ask you about that. Is that
I will
okay?
try to answer to the best of my knowledge and ability, but I'm really not sure on which topic are you guys asking on risk in terms of there are many other risks. So which are you? What are you guys focusing on?
Okay, there are five types of risks that we would like to ask you. I will go with the first one, which is the operational risk. So what are the operational risks that the Hong Leong company, which is your company, has gone through throughout the years, Mr. Arun?
Hong Leong is a bank, so we deal with a lot of financial sensitive data. So we have customers' data, we have all our stakeholders' data, we have vendor data, we have a lot of sensitive data. So in terms of operational risk, we have the risk of having the data being leaked out, being sold out to our clients or our customers or our staffs unknowingly leak out the data and stuff like that. So that's one of the operational risks we have. The second operational risk is that um, with the ever growing industry and economy of Hong Kong, in terms of the operational risk of the employees, the retention and also the retention of the employees. So these are the two main major risks in terms of operational risk for Hong Kong.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Arvind. Now for the second question, my friend Tarun will ask you.
Hi, Mr. Arvin. My name is Taran Rao.
Hi.
I want to ask one question. So, what are the financial risk your company, which is Hong Leong, has gone through?
Has gone through, okay, risk is always there. So when you talk about financial risk, right, it's in terms of the ratio between
Mana Mia, Mike?
the investment and also, sorry, I hear background noise.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So in terms of financial risk, right, it's between the ratio between investment and also the risk of losing. So financial risk, when you ask for Hong Leong, we run the entire business under risk. What we call is risk tolerance. So when it comes to finance, especially financial institution, if you ask this on a other operational or other nature of business, say for example DHL, freight, transportation, or wholesaling, or any other NOBs or businesses that you ask, each have their own risks. And when it comes to financial, each have their own ratio and also risk tolerance, or what they say is risk appetite. So for Hong Leong, our risk appetite is actually depending on the number of investments that we've made. So if you ask about Hong Leong risk, there are risk in loans, there are risk in credit cards, there are less risk in investments, there are risk in fixed deposits, there are risk in current accounts and saving accounts, there are risk in hire purchase. So every part of Hong Leong involves financial risk. So what has Hong Leong gone through? Or rather, how can I answer the question is the Hong Leong company goes through risk, uh, financial risk every day, but our focus is to how can we tolerate risk in terms of the ratio, investment in versus profit versus loss.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Arvin.
Okay, Mr. Arvind, I have only one question. May I know what is the legal risk of Hong Leong Bank?
Legal risk.
Yes, this legal risk.
That's an interesting one.
Yes, very
Uh,
interesting actually.
sorry.
Yeah, yes, it's a very interesting one actually.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier to Taran, right? Every
Yeah.
industry have their own risk tolerance, risk appetite. Different nature of business, different industry has its own ratio to tolerance. For Hong Leong, or if you
Mm-hmm.
put it as financial institution, Hong Leong, Maybank, RHB, American Express, all these big financial institutions, legal risk is one of the highest risk tolerance that we have.
Correct.
Why?
You're right.
Because we deal with customer sensitive data. For an example, anything the bank breaches, that in return will turn into a lawsuit, and we have legal proceedings for every small, minute mistakes that the financial industry does. So for Hong Leong, the risk tolerance for legal or lawsuits is very high.
Mm-hmm.
To name a few, I've also had last month, I was sued by a customer. They sue
Mm-hmm.
me as the fraud investigator for the customer, telling that I already stole their fixed deposit, about 60,000. So actually, it's not. It's a guy who tried to do some suspicious things and all that. So I caught him and I went on with that. So what happens is financial institutions like this, when you look at the risk tolerance versus other industries, financial institutions has a very high risk tolerance for legal proceedings because it can damage the reputation, it can damage the customer's belief, it can damage the long-lasting vendors that we have. Any vendors that are working with us with Hong Leong, they can leave Hong Leong because of the legal proceedings. So it's very
I.
important that we make sure that we have minimal legal proceedings under Hong Leong. Because, for example, if you want to open an account, if you want to open a saving account with Hong Leong, and if you hear many people are filing lawsuit against Hong Leong, suing Hong Leong, this is a very small part of the legal risk I'm talking to you. Yeah, there are a lot of other legal risk for Hong Leong. Loan agreements when you want to buy a house, when you're getting a higher purchase, getting a car, getting a credit card, getting whatever loan that you have, personal loan, business loans. If you're partnering with Hong Leong, whatever that you're doing, this all has its legal risk. To answer your question on a very high level, yes, Hong Leong or financial institutions have a very high risk tolerance for legal uh, risks.
I see, Mr. Arvind. I hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much for this.
Okay, hi, Mr. Arvind. My question to you will be: what is the reputational risk that will affect Hong Leong? From
Come
what
again, what was the risk?
what is the reputational risk that will affect Hong Leong?
In what manner? I feel like
From
that question is not complete.
no, it's like from the all we just spoken. So from the four questions. So
Okay.
from regarding that, so what is
Ah,
the reputational risk that will affect Hong Leong Bank?
okay, now touching on operational risk, financial risk, and also
Mhm.
legal risk, right? These three, if there is a high tolerance, or let's say that Hong Leong is facing a very high risk on that, meaning to say our employees, Hong Leong employees, are leaking out sensitive data, or you trust the bank, you give your IC number, you give your personal details, and then you see the details are being leaked out. That's operational risk. Financial risk is that if you don't calculate, project our revenue versus loss ratio, then we may end up with a very big loss and ending up being bankrupt. For an example, financial risk is one of the examples is we give out loans, right? Let's say today, Manvir, I'm giving you 10,000 ringgit of loan, but in my account, I have the capacity to give up to 90,000 ringgit, right? And I'm giving you the 10,000. If I don't calculate it properly, if I don't calculate risk to ratio, or sorry, ratio to risk, meaning what happens is, in case if I get any loss from the legal proceedings, from the operational proceedings, or from the financial risk, or in under three risk, if I get any losses from what I have, I give one with 10,000, but my loss is about 80,000. Overall, I only have 90,000. So I'm going to lose. I'm going to become zero. I'm going to become bankrupt. I can't pay my employees. I can't move forward the company. I can't do any investments. My investments will be frozen, and I will definitely lose the holdings in the company, my stakeholders, and all that stuff. So all this will eventually damage the reputation of Hong Leong. If you look at countries in the third world countries, right, many banks don't survive in third world countries because of this, because of the high level, um, very much high level or involvement of bribery, of corruption, of any other risks that you see in third world countries. Third world countries here, I mean Vietnam, Philippines, um, Nepal, all these countries, right? So if you look at them, they are financial institution. We're talking about financial institution because I'm from there, right? So they don't last long because their reputation is gone, because of the operational risks that they didn't manage well, because of the financial risks they didn't manage well, and because of the legal risks they didn't handle well. So all these three will eventually damage the reputational risk.
All right, Mr. Arvin, thank you so much for the explanation.
Pleasure.
Okay, so I'll now ask the final question. Mr. Arvind, can I know, are there any strategical risks that Hong Leong has gone through?
In terms of what, Hong Leong is a very big company. What are you
In term,
referring to?
all right, in terms of poor strategic planning or inadequate responses to external changes?
Yes. So every company, sorry,
Oh, okay, talk.
no. So
No, never mind, you can continue.
every companies they go through this risk tolerance and stuff like that. So what happens is we learn from the lesson and we go on. We implement risks. We implement mitigative plannings. We implement correction maker checkers and stuff like that. So yes, Hong Leong has gone through, and that is how we uh, overcome the risk challenges overall for the bank. I can't go into specifics because that would be a PII information. I cannot disclose
Okay,
that.
I understand.
But to give you a high level answer, not only Hong Leong, every company. That's how you run a company. That's how you run an organization. You'll definitely hit some risk failures, and from there on, you learn, you mitigate a plan, you strategize the plan, and then you go on. For example, if you don't have educate level streamlining processes, if you don't have enough manpower, if you don't have enough educated people who are on the front line or managing managers or people leaders, this is of an operational risk. If you don't have enough of calculation, forecasting, and budgeting for finance, you will face financial risk. If you don't have enough proofreading or thoughtfulness or being careful, being cautious in your agreements, in your product PRR, product public review, product here I'm saying credit card, debit cards, QR transaction, your Maybank app, sorry, your Hong Leong app, all this, right? These are products from Hong Leong. If I don't carefully manage them, then I'll get legal proceedings. So all this, it's a hit and learn sometimes, or sometimes it's a uh, proactive and precautionary, preventary steps that we take to address this. So yes, to answer your question, yes, we have taken, mitigated the risks, improved it, strengthened the streamline process.
Okay, thank you very
Oh,
much, Mr. Arvind. Thank you very much.
So,
Guys, is there any questions?
Taran?
yes, Darren.
finish. Sorry. So okay,
Okay.
Mr. Arvin, that bring us to the end of the interview. Thank you very much for sharing your time, insights, and experiences with us today. So your input has been incredibly valuable and will definitely help us in completing our
Simon.
project. So we truly appreciate your support, wishing you continued success in your role at Hong Leong Bank. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If any one of you
Okay,
wants
Mr.
to learn fraud, please let me know. I teach you fraud.
Okay, Mr. Arvin. Thank you, Mr. Arvin.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Mr.
Thank
All
you.
Arvind.
right,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much.
Pleasure. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right.